Hey, it's Keith Laducer with Epic Realty. I'm actually out here at Countryside Drive in Dover. Figured I'd make this video for y'all just because it's a little bit of a challenge to try to find the actual entry point and the way that this easement works on this property. But before I go in there, I'm going to be throwing some bug spray on. So just make sure whenever you come out here, put some bug spray on, because if you're walking out in the woods, ticks are bad this year, so you don't want to get bit and eaten up, whatnot. So I'm gonna put this on, and then I'll be getting right into the woods. All right, so I've got my bug spray on, and I'll be walking through the woods in just a moment, but I just wanted to go ahead and flip this camera around and kind of give you a little bit of a breakdown of this lower level and what you're looking at. Okay, so when you first come in off the road, you're going to be, coming down to this very end. All of this property right here that I'm, what's in view of the camera here is the 1.93 acre side. What you're going to see here in the middle is basically like a little turnaround. And this is the way that you go up to, the property and go through the way to see the back portion, the 18 acres. So you'll walk up. Oh, and you'll see, just as a side note, where I've parked. I've just kind of parked off the side of the road here. It is gravel, so, but most cars should be able to make it down through here, anyway. But park to the side, you'll start walking up this driveway. This is the neighbor's driveway, so just so you know, this is not a part of the property, but is the way to kind of get up to the larger section of land. So right here, you're going to see a little gap. So it's basically just right up the side here, and then you'll see a gap. You're going to have to cross over to the other side. There's like a little washout where the water has eroded the ground. And then you just start walking up this hill. So everything to the right hand side, all the way up to the power lines on the other side there, is part of this first tract of land. And the only way to access the 18 acres is by first going through this 1.93 acre tract. Once you get up to the top here, you'll see the way to go. I'll pan around so y'all can kind of have a little idea of what it looks like. Now this hill is steep, but what you could do is actually start on the more western side, or excuse me, the eastern side of this lot, and then kind of build your driveway and then do a switchback up here, so that way you won't have such a steep hill to climb when you're driving. Okay, so we're up at top, and the power lines run up to the top here. So you've already got power on the property. So it'd be just a matter of you know, connecting it to your property once it's built. So when you get to the top of the hill, you'll take a left and you'll kind of come through this way. And there's like a little clearing between the trees, like a little old road. I believe this used to be like an old logging path or something years ago. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but well, yeah, you can. So this actually crosses where the easement is, and it actually, so the easement actually goes out beyond this barbed wire fence. So it would have to come down for your driveway. I'm gonna walk this way instead of going through. There's basically when you go up, there's a little flag here on this tree, and you can just kind of walk through. And then to the left-hand side of this chicken coop, and then you'll run into a break in the barbed wire fence where you can walk through, and then you'll take your immediate right, so you can kind of see there's this little chicken coop here. So you'll stay to the left of the chicken coop, you'll come straight through, there's a break in the barbed wire fence, and then you've got this little four-wheeler trail. From here, you just follow this trail, and this leads you back to the 18 acres. Oh, and another thing, on a side note, I'm not sure if I can get, so if you can see, well, I'm trying to get it, there's a little stake in the ground right here, about the middle of the screen. So that is where the edge of that easement is. So I'm gonna scroll back out here. So this barbed wire fence would also have to be taken down, but you've got a good, 20 feet of space where you could put your driveway in and then come back to this 18 acres. So if you can see, there's a fence along the back side of this house here. The easement actually runs along the back side of that fence. So all of this area right here is actually a part of the property. So it's actually right where you're getting into the 18 acres. I'll take you back. So back behind this fella's house here, this area could be, a build site for a house. There's a lot more flat spot here to build on. But this line, or this four-wheeler trail, kind of carries you along the ridge, which is basically the edge of the top side of this 18 acres. And it'll probably be a little bit harder to see now, but from this four-wheeler trail, which is just to the left of it, is the property line. But out about 50 feet to 60, 70 feet is pretty flat area, or very gently rolling, until it gets down to about that 60 feet mark. Then it starts to go downhill again. But you've got about 1,500 linear feet of that 50 foot by, 50 foot in width of building space all along this ridge. Now this whole area, it's hard to see because it's grown up, but this is all of the top side. Here's a spot where you can kind of see slightly. You basically, all of this is a ridge, and then it drops off a hill after the ridge is up, and it does get pretty steep on that other side. But So taking a walk. Oh, so this is one of the property borderline markers, just like I was telling you. It's kind of right on the edge of this 4-wheeler trail. And I'll show you the next one. Might be a little bit of a long video, but at least it'll be useful where people can kind of see what this property entails. Hopefully that bug spray worked and I don't have any little tag-alongs with me. But so I'll take a moment to pan around and see and kind of show you. Now, so if this was all cleared, you would have a really beautiful view, you know, overlooking there's a cornfield along the bottom, and then you can kind of see, you would see the highway, which runs through there, Highway 79 that runs to Clarksville. And then there's, you know, some hills and whatnot on the other side. So you'd have a really pretty view. You could do a walkout basement style home and then have a decent yard on the front side of the house and have your driveway and plenty of space to put a, you know, a barn or a garage or something up this way, a couple of workshops and different things. But as you can tell, like on the ridge, it's very flat, but it does, you know, gradually slope off, and you've got, you know, a good 50 feet or so, 50 to 60 feet of space that you could actually work with. Now this property line does cross over this 4-wheeler trail right in this particular area. There's a spot where it does, but the land actually keeps going a good ways back, and there's some more build sites back here. If you decided to go this far back, you could go back this way, which I may not go all the way back down here, but it looks like they've kind of kept this. So yeah, here's where there's the property line on the opposite side of this 4-wheeler trail now. But all along on this other side is also, you know, semi-flat buildable land. So it's kind of thick right now, so I can't really walk in there to really show too much of it, but it goes on back and it goes a good ways down that direction. But it seems to stay pretty similar as far as the topography, you know, throughout the property. All right, so what I'm going to end up doing now is just go ahead and head back down towards the bottom, and whenever I get down there, I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like and the borders of that area. But I kind of got to the end of the road on this side, so just a matter of hiking back down. So I'll see you at the bottom. So I thought it might be helpful, since I was coming back through this area, to show this. So when you're walking back through, obviously to the inverse of that, as soon as you come off of the 4-wheeler trail, you're going to hang a left. You're going to go through the barbed wire fence next to the chicken coop. This time you'll be on the right side of it. And then as you're coming through, you're going to hang a right. There's this big culvert sitting here. I think that's actually for a septic system. But anyway, hang a right. You're going to kind of go through these trees. And then you'll be back in this clearing that's going to run you back down towards these power lines. Just don't want y'all getting lost out here. Once you get to this little section, you'll kind of start to veer to your right. By the way, if you do come out here, just make sure you wear jeans, maybe some boots. I've got my tennis shoes on right now, but you know, boots, and definitely don't forget your bug spray. Just, you don't want to walk out with any chiggers or ticks or anything like that on you. So just a helpful tip. I've been out here and got pretty much demolished with ticks. One of the first times I'd ever came out here. They were pretty bad that year too. So anyway, just kind of keep following this trail back down. So once I get down there, I'll be back on. All right, so I have made it back down to the bottom, safe and sound. Only one chigger on me. Well, not chigger, a tick on me whenever I got here. Started feeling it digging into my back, so I had to take a quick break to get that thing off of me. But anyway, so I wanted to do a quick tour on this bottom side, so at least you kind of have an idea of the length of it. So turn the camera around. Okay, so let's see. Well, I probably ought to keep this the way that it is. So we've got walking down the road here, and you know, it goes all the way back to where that that spot where I walked up the hill, and then this whole section is pretty much a pretty good little embankment. You know, it's got a little hill that you'd have to overcome, but down here past this power line is where the entry point for the other side of this property would be. So well, let's get that back on here. Here we go. All right, so this is the other neighbor's driveway. This is 186 Countryside Drive here. So that driveway you don't want to go up because it doesn't lead to this property. There's also this section where the power lines go up the hill. You could always make this a driveway because it's already cleared, but it would be really steep. So my thoughts were, you know, like I had mentioned earlier on the video, is to, you know, gradually go up the length of the hill and then switch back towards the top so you don't really have too much slope to deal with, you know. So that would be an option for yourself, you know, if you decided to purchase this piece of property. You know, online it mentions, you know, you do have power on the property. You would have to drill a well and put your septic system in. There is no any types of restrictions on the property or deed restrictions or anything like that. So, you know, you pretty much can do what you want to out here